Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic week. Today I want to talk to you about having to get a travel visa. It's far different than just your passport. And so I had to get a Chinese visa recently, and there are some things in it that are really scary. So first off, a disclaimer. I'm going into this as a person who is not of Chinese residence or nationality. I don't have dual or triple citizenship anywhere. I haven't been an patriot of China, and I'm not visiting anyone in particular in China. I'm just going to tour. I'm going to Shanghai Disney, or I'm going on a cruise. So that's what I'm looking at as a person going to China. And I'm looking at this from the Canadian prospect of this, and I'm kind of teaming up with my friend Tony over at Lalita Loca, who had to get a tourist visa as well, but from the US. So we're going to show you, I'll show you mine, and then I'll leave a link down below to Tony's video, and you can check out his, and you can see maybe there's a difference between the two different ways that you have to go apply for a visa. For myself, in Canada, they have 7 different locations that are in the major cities. So Vancouver, Toronto, Ottawa, Halifax, Montreal. They'll have a visa center now in those areas that you can get to. If you're not in one of those areas or you're out in the country someplace, you'll have to send all this in by mail, which is very risky in a way because you have to send your passport in, right? Because that's what the visa gets attached to. You need to send your passport away. And so if you live within an hour or 2 hours of a visa station, I would say go in and hand it in yourself. It's worth the 2-hour trip to make sure you're handing them the visa and your passport, and you're getting your passport back. Because that's a big concern of mine about mailing things away, especially my passport. I don't like doing that. So I went into the visa center. Now before I went in, I got everything ready. So I read up on it, and I found out I can get a single entry visa, which means I can go in and then I can fly out. Or I can get a double entry visa, which means I can go in, sail on a cruise, and then come back to the country, enter again, and then fly out. So a cruise, you would need a double entry visa. Then there's a multiple entry for a set period of time. And for me, it said that it wasn't applicable on the form. It was either the 1 or the 2. As it turns out, when I went in, they said, no, it's okay. You're tourist. You checked out fine for your security clearance and everything. They gave me it over a period of time. So I'm good now to enter multiple times, not just 2 times. So that was very nice of them, but when I was looking online, it only gave me the 2 options. So I took the 2 because that's how it would be going for me. I would be coming from Japan, flying into China, staying for 10 days, taking a cruise out, coming back to China for my second entry, and flying home. So a double visa entry was perfect for me. Then there's these long lists of things, and that's like, are you visiting somebody? If you're visiting somebody there, you have to have a letter of intent. You have to have a letter that's saying that they're going to look after you while you're there, that you're staying with them. Where are you staying? What's their address? Where do they work? All those things. Luckily for me, I don't need all that, but what I did need to do was show all of my travel documents for my entire stay there. So I needed to show my flight from China with tickets from Japan to China. I needed to show my hotel room stay paid in full that I'm booked with my booking documents and my confirmation numbers. I had to show my cruise that I was taking from Shanghai, China, with my boarding pass, with my paid cruise, everything paid in full, so it's booked. And then I had to show my flight home from Shanghai, China as well, also paid in full. So that's the big key. All of my things had to be paid in full before I could even apply for my visa. And you could only apply for your visa maximum 3 months before you head to China. So that's kind of a, as you know, most cruise lines, it's 90 days as well to have everything paid for. You can't print out a boarding pass and you can't print out everything paid if you haven't paid for your cruise yet. So everything had to be paid. So this is one of the reasons I got the cancel for any reason insurance. I normally don't get that. I just get trip interruption, or I get my medical insurance just to make sure I'm good. Because when I book a cruise, I generally know I'm going. It's a firm thing. I don't have to worry about canceling it because I'm going. Kind of the benefits of being a single person traveling. You know your own itinerary. Somebody else, there's no one in my family to say, oh, my job won't let me go, or, I have to be here for the kids for this. No, my kids are grown up and I'm a single person. So I know I'm going. Travel insurance, medical insurance is really all I really care about. But I got the cancel for any reason because if my visa gets turned down, I don't want to pay $18,000 for trips and all of a sudden I'm out $18,000 because I can't get my visa to go to the country. Wow, that would be horrible. So that's something you might want to think about, is get that cancel for any reason insurance, just to be safe if you have to have everything paid for in advance. Once I had all of my travel documentation, you go online and there's a quick form to fill out. You just fill out where you're going, your job work, where you work at, your job history, your address for the last 10 years, basic information of, what you would think refilling your license or getting an OHIP card or medical, anything like it. It's basically pretty straightforward. Nothing was too confusing on it. Filled it out, got it all done, printed out the copies, got all my copies from all my bookings and my destinations and everything. Made sure when you're looking at it, make sure it has your name on it somewhere, the booking number on it, and the dates on it, and the itinerary. So the cruise, if you're going on a cruise, they want to see the stops on the cruise. They want to see what cities you're going to, because you could be going to different Chinese cities, and that's different than going to Japanese cities. That would be entrance sort of thing on a cruise. So they want to know that, they have to see that. So all your itinerary, your date on there somewhere, and the booking number, and somewhere where it shows paid. That's the 4 key things that you need for all your travel documentation. So you get that, you get your application, and then you get your passport, and then make an appointment online. And I was able to make an appointment the next day. That's how quick it was, because I live in the city. So you go online and you pick a time, you click on the time, that's your appointment. You go to the office. Mine is right downtown here in Ottawa, and I showed up. I had all my documentation and the copies. They looked it over. They take my fingerprints on there, and then they said, I had actually said rush. So I was willing to pay the extra money to have my visa rushed, because I'm leaving in less than 30 days. So I wanted to make sure it's back. And she looked at me and said, no, it'll be back by next Tuesday. You pay for rush, you'll get it Monday. Is it really worth paying another $100 and some to get it one day earlier? And I said, if I can have it Tuesday, that's no problem. She said, unless there's an issue, like you have a criminal record that you're not telling us about, or something that you're lied about on here, there'll be no problems, and that'll be fine. She reassured me. I said, okay, well, I don't have a criminal record, and everything on there I said was the truth, so I should be pretty good. So I let it go, and sure enough, this was on a Thursday afternoon. Tuesday morning, it was sitting there at 9 o'clock in the morning waiting for me. And I just walked in with my stub saying how much I paid for. Only cost me $160. I got a multi-entry visa. It's in my passport now, and I handed it in. And I had my travel visa. I'm all set to go to China now. But I'll tell you, that whole 4 days of waiting was nerve-wracking in a way, because your passport's gone and your whole trip is based on them saying yes. And you never know, right? You just never know. What happens if a policy comes down between our governments and they just say, yeah, we're limiting how many Canadians can come and visit now. You're only allowed to come in once. We don't want people leaving our country and coming back. We want you to stay in our country, and that's it. My whole trip's gone. That's it. It's ruined. So, but luckily I got my visa. Everything's done now. The only bad thing about it is they keep all your documentation that you give them. They keep all your itinerary and everything. And a lot of that stuff I've had all printed out. It's in my binder, ready to go for my trip. Now I got to redo it all and make sure I have it all again. But that's a small inconvenience. If you're going to print everything out, print it out twice. So you have 2 copies, one for yourself, one for them. And you don't have to worry about it like I do right now, because I'm going on the website right now for Royal Caribbean and trying to book out, hit my boarding pass and everything, and the site's been down for 3 days. What? Timing is everything, right? They're fixing their website, so all kinds of things can happen. The actual process for getting my Chinese visa went actually pretty smooth. They were very nice there. Everybody spoke perfect English and they were very friendly. It was a very easy transaction. They took credit cards of all kinds. It was not a hard process at all. And they were very willing to sit down with people. I saw people who were confused and didn't know what they were doing really there. And they sat down with them and just went over things with them. So it's not as intimidating. It looks intimidating, it seems intimidating, but it really wasn't that hard. The only thing I worried about was being refused. And it turns out if you know everything's okay, there should be no issues whatsoever, right? And so I was satisfied, I was happy, and it's great. They gave me a longer visa, so I can go back to Japan between now and February, or China between now and February if I want, because I still have the visa. Yay! So do I want to make that 15.5-hour trip again? I don't know. but you never know. I might head that way and then maybe take a cruise from China to Australia. Cruise to my cruise. That might be an idea. All the ideas I just pop into my head sometimes while I'm doing these videos. What's going on? Well, there you go. That's how you get a visa in Canada, for a simple travel visa. Not for a work visa, not for a student visa, just going as a tourist if you want to visit the country. And it was actually a pretty easy, pretty simplified way to do it. And like I said, they made it easy for me when I was there. So I was very thankful for that. Very nice people working there. And they treated me very kindly. So nothing but good things to say about that. So I hope you liked this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And now don't forget to check out my buddy Tony at Lalita Loca, his video today about getting his travel visa experience in the United States. And until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.